under Texas law, once they get married, all their income is community property. So y'all owns it. Y'all as a single person. There is no him, there is no her. Although property that you own prior to marriage is your separate property and remains to be separate property through the marriage. If the person that you're marrying has separate property like that, you really need to take a determination and go, do I want to go into a deal like that?
Adam is kicking us off this hour in New York City. Adam, welcome to the show.
Okay.
Hello, George. Hello, Ken. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking the call. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. What's going on?
So I have, speaking of nuance, right, somewhat of a nuanced question that I also think would present kind of a deeper dive into finances and other items. But one thing that, and just to give background to the question, right, I'm a younger person, 30 years old, have a decent amount of savings set up, and I've been with my partner, my girlfriend, for about almost 3 years now. When you break down just in terms of percentages and savings, you know, the big goal that I have for myself is buying a home. Somewhat have left that arena over the last 18 months or so due to the crazy things we've seen in the tri-state area, more specifically New Jersey. But I have about, if you could pool our assets, right, maybe about 90 to 95% of what to go into. And, you know, she's a child of divorce. People in my family are no stranger to divorce. And one thing I'm thinking about doing is trying to acquire a house as a premarital asset in a way of kind of protecting myself, not knowing what the future would hold. I don't know if that's the right way to be thinking about it, but working in finance, I maybe am jaded by seeing this over time and time again. So maybe that's not the best mindset to have, but I can't help but think that could be a benefit to me in a smart financial move. So
how
just want to get your opinion on that.
Before we weigh in on the opinion, and George leading on this one, I'm just curious, why do you think that's a good move? And it's funny that you refer to it as a premarital asset. It's very, very stuffy, very, very, like, what do you mean?
I thought it was romantic, Ken.
No, not at all. What do you think it's going to do for you?
Well, so I've seen before where if in the event that me and my girlfriend take the next step and it doesn't work out within, whether that's 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever timeline that may be.
Okay.
So is he talking about a prenup?
No. So here's the situation. The guy has a girlfriend, and it sounds like they're about to move in together. And he is asking, should I buy a house prior to marriage so that it is my separate property if we have to get a divorce in the future? Is that a good idea? Should I do that?
Well, it's not technically separate property.
It is.
Well, it is, but if she is paying on that mortgage through that extended period of time, she still has...
No matter who.
Yes, she still has rights to that.
So under Texas law, once they get married, they have... all their income is community property. It doesn't matter whether he earns it. It doesn't matter whether she earns it. It is all theirs. It belongs to them. I like to call it y'all. It belongs to y'all. So y'all owns it. Y'all as a single person. There is no him. There is no her. Although property that you own prior to marriage is your separate property and remains to be separate property through the marriage. But, for example, if he buys a $400,000 house and puts $10,000 down on it and mortgages $390,000, and then during the marriage they pay off the $390,000.
She has the right to that $390,000.
Correct. It's called a reimbursement.
She does not have the right to the $10,000.
Correct. She has a right to the So here's how that plays out. The community gets to be reimbursed from his separate estate for the amount that the debt was paid down on his separate property. So that $390,000 that they paid off during the marriage comes back into the community property analysis. And so if that's all that they had, then the community would then divide $390,000 upon divorce. He would ultimately be able to keep the house because the court cannot divide or award her separate property.
Right.
But he would have to pay her out half of what the value of that house is, some kind of a way, whether it is refinancing in the house or having to have the house.
So if the house grows equity through the years, she does have rights to that, correct?
No.
So she only has the rights to the amount.
So if the house goes up to $1 million, he keeps it.
All of that. Okay.
So if you're getting married and the guy or girl, guy, girl, woman, man, person, living carbon-based being,
a human being.
Yeah, but if the person that you're marrying, has separate property like that, you really need to take a determination and go, do I want to go into a deal like that? Do I want to have that as a partner? And I suspect what Ramsey is about to say is don't do that. Although these are Ramsey co-hosts, and
well, I think Ramsey would say that if you're marrying someone, you're supposed to trust them. You need to be, because I've heard him before. You share bank accounts.
Yep.
You share everything.
Well,
so
yeah, all my worldly goods, I do the pledge.
Right.
And
it
I
sounds
know he
like
would
to
say
me
that.
this guy needs a prenup.
Well, so a prenup will allow him to determine how this is going to be. And if I were representing her, I would probably insist that, well, you just bought this piece of property and we're going to be married all this time, and then you're going to try and take all the benefit if this doesn't work out, and you're going to screw me over. One, don't marry somebody who wants to do that.
Right.
Key number one. Because when you do get married, you're looking for reasons to not marry someone.
Right.
You're trying to exclude them. You're looking for any reason why they're not a good person for you to marry. And when you find that information, thank you so much. That was the information that I was looking for. Next, what was your name?
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Because what dating is just like when we do jury selection for a jury trial in court. We are not trying to pick a jury. We are excluding everybody who's bad for us. And then by default, anybody who's left over will therefore be good for us. Well, that's the same thing that you're doing when dating and looking for somebody to spend the rest of your life with. There are a lot of people out there that you can have a great, amazing, awesome relationship with. The idea of a soulmate, oh, that's the one, and the fact that you may really like them, great. I'm assure you there's another. There are plenty of people that you can choose to have a good relationship with.
There's tons of fish in the sea.
Yes, and it's more about choosing to have a good relationship with somebody who also chooses to have a good relationship with you. If both of you are all in with that, then you will have a good relationship. You should also be all in with your finances. And so
there should not be secrets. If there's secrets, then that relationship will never work.
Exactly.
You know,
and
if you're
financially, you both have to be involved. You both must do the monthly budget meeting that Dave Ramsey teaches. Summer and I have been through Financial Peace University. I had been recommending it for years to client after client, and it was offered at our church. And I said, Summer, I've been recommending this for years, but I haven't actually attended it. It's only 2 hours a week for 9 weeks. We should go do it. And it will also give us an opportunity for each one of those lessons. We'll have a conversation about it. And even though we think and we're on the same page, it will give us a good framework and context for us to have that annual type of conversation. And it'll give us a really good framework. And I spent $250,000 in 3 years of my law degree. I spent $129 on Financial Peace University and 18 total hours, 2 hours a week over 9 weeks. Ask me which one is more valuable.
Financial Peace University.
No, ask me.
Which one?
Financial Peace University. The $129 and 18 hours worth of do this and just go ahead and do it this way is brilliant. I do have a couple of different priorities. For example, I think that college, unless you must absolutely go to college in order, for example, to be a lawyer or a medical doctor, maybe some engineering, but I think college is mostly completely outdated, an absolute financial scam and ripoff. And if you're not going to cash flow it, which I don't even think you should do that, I think you should go to the best college that you can go to for free. And I think you need to be very careful about what indoctrination and nonsensical stuff that you are learning through college. Everything that you want to learn is available through other sources, cheaper and better than what you're going to get at college. College is a good structure, but there are programs that you can buy. There are coaches there, and you have to be careful which ones. But there are all the world's information is now on YouTube, on other platforms, in fact, not that I'm an advocate of TikTok, because TikTok has some really bad crap on it. But there are some creators that have managed to, in 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, provide and condense down into such great educational, produced, well-presented videos that all the information is out there. The question is, how do you structure that? And sometimes you buy a course so that you go from the beginning to the end through that particular course. Sometimes you have to go to a structured learning environment because you won't have the discipline, or you'll get too many distractions and you won't stick with things, or maybe it'll take too long. And there is a value in doing that. But the federal government supplementing and paying and encouraging kids to go into debt in order to take out and get this education that they're not guaranteed a job. You don't know what job you're going to get. And you're also taking yourself out of the workforce for 4 years. If you instead of going to college, went and worked a fast food job and lived like a broke college student for those 4 years, and you banked 80% of what you made and just put it into investments, you'd be one of the richest people on the planet because you have the benefit of time. Instead, they're taking you out of that and making you completely dependent on the government, and they're putting you in hock, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've seen law students come out with $400,000 worth of debt that they'll never get out of. And now with interest rates going up, I don't know what student loan rates are, but they used to be 3 and 4%. I can't imagine that they're not rising with housing costs, and we should look that up in just a second. And that the amount of debt, you can't even discharge that debt in bankruptcy. So when you realize when you're 25 and 30 and 35 and 40 years old that it was all a fraud and all a scam that you fell for like a fool, you can't even get out of it.
Right.
And then now you're seeing, federal student debt relief. So you're asking people that didn't go to college to pay for the education for the people that did.
Well, I'm an example of a person that didn't finish college, and I had no student debt.
Right.
And I went straight into the workforce.
And you do great. And you and your husband are everyday millionaires at this point.
I mean, I did get my associate's degree, and I had the opportunity to go for my bachelor's, but I sat there and I got a job managing restaurants at 21, and I waited out. Mm-hmm. My first job offer as a manager was $35,000 back in 2001. That was pretty good.
Yep.
You know, and I sat there and was like, well, do I really need this? Do I really need to go to college? If this is my career path, I can learn all this on the job.
Absolutely.
And I had great mentors.
Yep.
So I learned a lot from them. And so at the end of the day, I look at it as I wouldn't spend the money if I'm going to be a restaurant manager, to go to college. You don't need it. If you are dedicated, you go into that job and you put everything into it, you're going to learn everything you need.
Yep.
And there was a point in time where I thought about going back to school, and I actually looked into it, and they were like, oh, yeah, because of all your experience, you can get credit. But they wanted me to pay for that credit.
Yep.
And I sat there and I was like, so you want me to pay thousands of dollars for something that I know just so I can get credit?
Correct.
So I can get a bachelor's degree?
Correct.
Yeah.
And you get a piece of paper that affects your self-image.
Right.
They're manipulating everyone's self-image. They're letting you think that if you don't have a college degree, that you're something less. You're not as good.
Right.
But if you do have a college degree, well, now you're one of the elite. It actually makes you easier to have control over you and have mind control.
Well, I've known
because you want to be,
Yeah.
your self-image is all wrapped up in the university experience, and you have to buy into everything that the universities are saying. And the universities, because they're supplemented by the government and propped up, they have no incentive to reduce prices. So the prices increase.
It's kind of funny because, being in the career I was for many years, I had kids come in through that graduate college
Yep.
and had restaurant degrees.
Yep.
But I was teaching them how to be a manager.
Yep.
They had no clue.
Yep.
Just because they went to college, they didn't have the experience levels of,
Correct.
no, there's more to it than just reading a book.
Yep.
You actually have to physically do this work.
Correct.
And so they had
To know but not do is to not know.
Right. So in my opinion, if I was someone that had a college for restaurants, guess what? I would have restaurants in the college.
Yeah.
And these people would be running businesses.
Absolutely.
And that's how they would be learning.
Absolutely.
I mean, that to me is how people would learn how to do that type of job. Reading
Yep.
a book is not going to get you anywhere.
And I have a friend who has a master's degree in history and got all this college debt. He does the exact same job that another friend of mine had the job first because he didn't waste time and go to college. He got that job, and the history major had to go in and get the job from the other guy who was always the leader, always the manager, always ahead, and always richer, much richer. Not only did the guy with the history degree not get to work for 6 years, he didn't have that 6 years worth of income. He didn't have that 6 years worth of experience.
Right.
And he started way in the back.
Right.
Way in the back.
Because it doesn't matter
Start your race 6 years later.
Well, it doesn't matter what type of degree you
Yep.
end up with in the end, or how many years you went to school. They're going to look at the workforce is going to look at you as I'm not joking. I had an employee that worked for me who had a marketing degree, and he could not get a marketing job to save his life.
Yep.
And it was because he didn't have at least 2 years experience.
Correct.
And so, and that's the
If
problem.
you're going to
is
work your
you're
way
gonna
through school,
Yeah.
that's one thing. But you really got to look and go, if I had $100,000 at age 20, and I simply invested that in good growth mutual stocks, you'd have $1 million at retirement.
Right.
Real easy. You'd have multi. I don't have my computer set up right now to run the multiplications out.
Right. Well,
But
we've done that on other podcasts.
Yes. And it's not a great investment for you to spend $100,000 to go to college, or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And this is why. Another
The
reason why I
investment
disagree.
in college is this: if you want to be a teacher, go to college. If you want to be a doctor, go to college. If you want to be a lawyer, go to college. Like there are certain career paths you need to go to college for.
Yep.
But if you are trying to do like daily stuff, I mean, really look at it. And
Are you going to
determine.
be a salesperson or any?
Yeah.
Or go to trade school.
Right.
Because the trades are making a lot of money, and
They
the more
are.
industrialized and the more computerized all of our society gets, the more value that the trades have.
It's like master plumbers, master
Oh, yeah.
electricians,
Welders.
Yes.
There are things that machines and computers cannot do.
Right.
And those things are getting more and more valuable for the people that do those things.
Well, because
Carpenters.
it is really hard to find those types of people.
Yes.
As the people that are in that field right now age,
Yep.
and the younger generation is
Mm-hmm.
told go to college, and they're not looking at that field anymore, then who is going to be the plumber?
And
Who is going to be that
I'll tell
electrician?
you this. You know what I enjoy more than practicing law? Carpentry,
Yeah.
making stuff. Maybe that's because I have a shortage of doing those things. So I do the law stuff all the time. And there's a lot that I like about doing the law. And I certainly do like when we do get to go to court, even though we try and avoid court as much as we do.
Well, I think your brain has to have an outlet of
I think you have to have
something
diversity
else.
with it.
Yeah.
And that's another problem that people don't have, is they don't get out and get to do that diversity. And I'll tell you this, I went to college, I studied all the things I do in college, and the more important aspect of my personality is not that I went to college. It's that I am continually hungry to learn. And I think I had a real advantage when I was in law school, that at the time I didn't want to be a lawyer. I was literally there for the knowledge, and I thought that's probably the best place for me to get that knowledge. I never even intended to take the bar exam nor ever be an attorney, which your husband will testify to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just asked to do it, and then I was good at that, as I'm good at many things, because I am always focused on learning and improving myself. And I have skill sets in marketing and in computer things that I do that are, as an entrepreneur, there are things that you never would think that you would have to learn how to do. But if it touches your business, and you have to do it. If it touches your business, you have to do it.
Right.
And you have to learn it. And I have to learn all these different things. And I need to understand how marketing and our websites work, and be able to go in and fix things myself if I need to, and at least have control of it, so that I'm not necessarily completely crippled by it. And in previous businesses that I had to learn plumbing. I had to learn a lot of advanced carpentry. I had to learn advanced wiring.
Right.
I had to learn things about pouring concrete. I had to learn all kinds of different things. I had to learn city codes and building codes and things.
Right.
And you should always keep learning. So let's go back
Yeah,
to
we
this.
need to get back to
Let's get back to this video
Yeah.
and see what it is that they say.
Hold on a second. Hold on. And I'm just trying to get context. If you take the next step, does that mean get married?
Correct.
And it doesn't work out, so we're already planning for the worst.
It's something that I've done for most of my life that I have a hard time not doing.
Yeah.
Is having the worst in your mind and trying to plan
All right, so
for the
keep
worst.
going. So if the worst happens, why is having this premarital asset known as a house, why is that protecting you?
My understanding is that worst case scenario would be we get divorced, I lose the house, and now I kind of have to restart over. And my understanding is if it was a premarital asset and then we decided to sell the home, we would have equal access to the proceeds where I wouldn't essentially be kicked out of my own house or something.
That's not how it happens at all.
It blows my mind that someone's thinking about this stuff.
It doesn't blow my mind that he's thinking about it, especially if they're older, especially if she's been divorced or he's been divorced once. I think it's very common and people do think about it.
I did not
But
think
his
about that.
analysis of it was completely incorrect.
Yeah.
He's worried about not getting kicked out of my own home or things. You can get kicked out of your
Yeah.
separate property home. She could be ordered. You could be ordered to pay for that in order to support her and kept, at least in Texas, and probably almost anywhere.
Especially if you have children.
Yeah. So you can be ordered out of the house, and that has to do with a whole lot of things, such as if there's family violence that can happen, if you earn a lot of money and she doesn't have anywhere else to go, and your brother happens to live in the same town, the judge is going to say, well, you go live at your brother's house. She's going to stay in the house while y'all figure this out,
Right.
and then you spend however long trying to figure that out. It doesn't play out the way that he's thinking. So this, again, he needs to talk to a good estate planning lawyer and a good family law attorney. And this is why we do both of these two areas of law, because this is the crossover between family law and estate planning. And he needs to talk to a lawyer so he really understands his actual situation. It would be totally worth whatever the consultation price is for him to get clarity on this, especially if he's going to get clarity from somebody like us that's going to tell him what he needs to do, not to prepare for the divorce, but to have a healthy marriage so he doesn't have to get a divorce ever.
Right.
Like that.
All right, George, that's what I needed to know.
Got it.
Now we see where he's coming from.
Well, what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you want to buy this house, your name is on the deed, your name is on the mortgage, and her name is not a part of this at all. Let's say you guys get married. It would remain that way.
Correct.
You're asking for a roommate at that point. Why would she not want some skin in the game too and say, hey, what's mine is now ours? This
Exactly. But wait, there's more.
is we.
That's a good
and so when
question.
you look at the deed and go, well, this is my thing I had before we were married, and so I'm going to keep it in my name to play it safe. What do you think that does to her emotionally and mentally?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very fair point, and I hold no ill will towards her whatsoever, and would obviously want to welcome
You
her
didn't
in all
answer the
aspects
question.
of my life.
You did not answer the question. You're a very thoughtful young man. I mean, like really thoughtful.
But if you're on
Answer
that,
the
put
question.
yourself in her shoes.
How do you think
How does
she's
it feel?
going to feel?
Terrible.
All right.
That's just not how I want to start the marriage. Now, I understand the heart of it. You're scared because you've seen this play out in your family, and you've seen people, you've seen the YouTube comments on any video about marriage where they're saying, don't get married. She's just trying to take you for all your worth. She's going to take you to the cleaners. They all sound like that to me for some reason in the comment section.
So that's a good point. And so people are not taught how to actually vet and find somebody to be married to. The best example that I've ever seen was Ben Shapiro, because he went and had these type of conversations, intentional about how we're going to act, what your values are, how your parenting values, whether you want to have kids, your money values, what your money habits are. And they thoroughly vetted each other, both Ben and his wife, about those things. In addition to, well, do I like them? And do they like me back? And are they even interested enough for us to pursue something? Most people get so caught up, and their self-image is so small that they are worried and they really want this person so that they can have somebody, as opposed to having a good sense of value and self-esteem in themselves while they're trying to find a candidate for that. They are thinking, oh, I keep getting rejected here. I'm rejected here. I'm rejected here. I'm rejected here. Well, one of the reasons why you keep getting rejected is because you're desperate and you're trying too hard, and you don't have that self-esteem, and you don't have proper boundaries with it, and you don't have a proper self-image or mindset about it in order to really be going out and doing those things. But if you approach it with, I have value, calm value, I will be a value to that person. And I am looking for somebody that has my common values religiously, morally, financially, and regarding desires about children and desires about the life and lifestyle that they want to live. And when you match on values, that's what you're looking for. And when you find somebody, oh, they are so beautiful. The physical would be amazing. I'm so tempted. I can't resist. But if you find something where one of those core values that you need to define and understand about yourself ahead of time, where you have one of those that's not there, you must reject that person no matter how good all that other stuff is. And it's better to be honest with them. I think we would be great. You are awesome. I'm so attracted to you. However, we don't have the same values on this. And so therefore, I don't think that we're a good match, but I wish you the best.
Right.
If you did that, they'll probably come back and start begging you because what you did was just there. There is a result of that higher lobster brain and mindset. But you honestly are a higher lobster in. Don't be one of the lower lobsters because the masses of the lobsters are not doing this right. You become the higher and caliber lobster in how you are doing your own life and how you are treating yourself. But it's not just, oh, I'm worth it or whatever. It's just a confident and calm and understanding and a clarity. Clarity is probably the best word about it. A clarity of knowing who you are and knowing what your value is to somebody else and having a clear and concise value proposition and understanding of the partner that you're going to be because of the effort and decisions that you're going to make going forward. And when you understand and know those decisions, then you can be a good partner. Then you're ready to consider having a relationship with someone, not just, oh, I just want to be in love because of the feelings. That's
well, a lot of girls want to do it because of they're wanting the wedding,
and
or they're trying to keep up with their friends.
Correct.
That's a
as
lot of the
opposed
problems.
to having a value of somebody that they want to have, and
Right.
the desire is deep and fundamental if you don't have it and you really, really want it. But your wisdom has to overcome that and has to, because otherwise you're going to get bad results. And then you're not going to get the thing that you're so desperate for. And you're going to get a very bad version of it that can destroy you and take away half your money and make you miserable and take away half your life. There are people, I've had people, all right, how long you been married? 23 years. Okay, well, how long has it been bad for? 22.9 years. What? It was good for 1 month, and then it's been a total nightmare ever since then. How long have you been married again? 22 months? No, 22 years. And how old are you?
Yeah.
I'm 42. So half your life, more than half your life, you've been completely miserable. And that's what you put into it because you wanted something so bad and you had it for a month. And then you were so attached and you couldn't even get out of it because your self-esteem was that bad. That's somebody we've got to work on their self-esteem.
Right.
And you'd be surprised that a lot of times I'm the first person that has said anything like that to them. And I can change their world just exposing them to that. But I'd rather catch people before they make these mistakes and teach them how to do these things that I've spent 17 years now learning and experiencing and helping people grow from.
Right. Exactly.
Let's see where they go with this next.
And it's just a real kind of gross outlook towards marriage. There's a lot of negativity, a lot of cynicism. And I think the best thing you can do, if you really want to go this route, you can do a prenup. If there's inordinate levels of wealth, let's say you're coming in, you've got $1 million net worth, and she's not working or she makes a smaller salary, you could pursue a prenup as a way to protect yourselves.
So a prenup can protect you, but can also get in the way of your relationship.
Right.
You need to do your prenup wisely. There is no such thing as the standard prenup. I just want a regular prenup or a standard prenup. No. That's like saying I want a standard piece of clothing. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to give you a pair of baby shoes. You can wear those, right? Or we're gonna give you size, 3X extra large, and your size.
Right.
And you're walking around, and you're going to look like a fool, and it's not going to work, and your clothes are going to be bad and damaged, and you're going to look like a clown, and it's going to be foolish.
Right.
Clowns. The word clown is typically means the fool, and they're clowning. It means foolishness. Don't do things foolishness. A prenup needs to be highly customized, and it is a tool and an instrument more about the process that you go through in getting. Yes, there'll be a prenup as a result, but the prenup is basically, here is our agreement about how we're going to handle our finances that makes sense in a way that supports our marriage moving forward. Because, yes, if you've got $10 million and I have got bad credit and $100,000 in debt, and you say, all right, I really want this to work. I really believe in you. We're going to do these things together. We're all in. We're going to average this stuff out. So the $10 million spouse pays off the debt for the $100,000 spouse. We're going to share everything equally. We're going to do our monthly budget meeting. Everything is going to be good. And then a year from now, it doesn't work out. Because why? Because you lied and you're still doing the same bad financial things. And no matter what, you refuse to go to Financial Peace University. You refuse to do anything. You're insistent upon the fact that you can spend and waste the money however. You've stolen money from the community and sent it to who knows what. You've done all these negative things. Well, 1 year goes by, and how much are you going to get from that? Maybe you get $1 million for one of your mistake of trusting this person. Mm-hmm. But should you get half? Should you get $5 million when they had 10? I don't know. Maybe. But that's for the two of you to talk out about how you're going to do that. Mm-hmm. And when there is that big disparity, you need to talk about it.
Right.
And the other thing is let's say neither one of you have anything at the beginning. And then one of you gets a great job making $500,000 a year, and the other one you say, well, I want you to be a stay-at-home parent, whether male or female, because it happens both male and female. Then if you're going to do that, well, if the marriage goes 20 years, y'all are going to have a lot of combined wealth together. Well, what if you had a prenup from the one that earns the $500,000 that says, I get all the things that I earned? Well, now you've the one that didn't earn, who didn't earn and stayed to support and raise the kids,
right,
because I earned plenty of money for us, and so I want you to stay home and raise the kids. And then they also haven't worked on their career. So now 20 years from now, they get the beginning entry level job making $15 an hour or $5 an hour or $10 an hour, whatever it is. And the other one's making $500,000 a year. The kids are already gone, and now they take millions and millions over here, and this one's left with nothing. That's also not fair.
Right.
So you've got to figure out how that goes and how you do that. And the fact that one of you holds back and chokes their career and doesn't have financial ability on their own versus the other one that has tremendous amount of finances, you've got to do something that balances that out throughout the marriage. And in case there is a divorce, you don't want the one that has all the resources that can hire whatever, beat you over the head, belligerent, price you out, make you have to spend $250,000 or $500,000 or $3 million worth of legal just to get through the divorce, when the other side has nothing. And then they're going to take everything. So you don't want that disproportionate balance of power, right, one way or the other. You want balance in any good prenup, regardless of what side you're on. Because as a prenup attorney, your job is to not protect and be their early divorce attorney. Your job is not to prepare and have them as if you're pre-planning their divorce for them to be okay. That may be an aspect of it, but what you're really there to do is to set them up financially to where money will not be the reason that they get divorced, which money is always the number one reason why they're going to get divorced. A good prenup or postnuptial attorney who will provide them a future that supports their marriage so that they don't have to get a divorce. That's the first goal. Right. It should be the first goal of every. And if there's anything that I want to teach to other family law attorneys is that.
Right.
Let's see where else they go.
But doing the kind of shady, I did this before we married, so it's mine, that's going to create a ruffle. And so I would talk about it, first of all, communicate as a couple, and decide together what we're...
Exactly. Talk about it. Communicate as a couple and decide together. That is the most important part of the process of getting a prenup.
We're going to do, if you're even going to go that route.
Okay, I see what you mean, because I never knew that those things. I thought that even a prenup, I don't know, I guess I'm not really good at preparing for the worst. I just didn't even know that
here's
that was
the deal. I think it's one thing to batten down the hatches, if you will, an old phrase. When a storm is coming, let's kind of protect the windows. But you don't know that there's a storm coming.
That's a good point. It's like, you know, it's because you try and time everything perfect, and worst case scenario isn't the way you should live your entire life.
Adam, how old are you?
30.
Adam, I am 48. And next May, or this coming May, Stacy and I will celebrate 25 years of marriage. Now, I'm not a marriage expert.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't say that to get applause. I appreciate the lobby folks saying that, but I tell you this, here's what I learned in 25 years of marriage. You can't plan for much at all. other than your emergency fund, right? Because life is going to happen. It's going to rain. That's why we preach the emergency fund. I would tell you this. If you can afford the house the way that we teach it to do it, and you get the house and then bring her in once you get married and it's our house, and then if the worst happens, you still made a good financial decision and you're still better off. George?
I'm with you on that. And when that time comes, there's a lot of state laws, there's a lot of things that you need to take into account if it did go south. And so you can do some research, do your homework, but don't let that delay you from getting married and making it weak. That's what marriage is. If you don't want that, don't sign up for marriage. It's going to
I agree.
and pain for both parties here.
So that was.
Adam is kicking us off.
I completely agree with that. Marriage, it really is an all-in. If you want to have a good and healthy marriage, both parties have to be 100.00% all in.
And you got to be able to communicate.
That's right. And I will also say this. The first year of marriage is the most difficult because you don't know how to communicate. You realize the things that you didn't know to communicate about and that you hadn't communicated about, and where you have differences, whether it is how you clean the sink, how you brush your teeth, where you take a shower, whether you sleep in pajamas or you sleep naked. How often do you make love with each other? All kinds of different things. And what are y'all's expectations? And a lot of people just miss that. And I mean, to a certain extent, I just got lucky. But I used certain things that protected me. For example, Summer and I met on eHarmony. What's the first thing and greatest thing that eHarmony does? Matches you on values. And so we got matched on values. And so we got lucky because of a wise decision we made early on. A lot of times, wise decisions protect you later down the road. For example, it's not good to get into a motorcycle wreck, but a wise decision puts a helmet on before you get onto a motorcycle. Right. And thankfully, I got lucky when I crashed my marriage on that motorcycle that I had a helmet on. And that helmet was I married somebody that had common values. And it was very difficult our first year of marriage. And we fought about money and different things and expectations about the law firm that we owned at the time, and that how much time and effort it was taking, that we were in this tiny apartment living and working in the same spot all on top of each other. And then she quit her job that she loved in order to come work for the firm, and that was my idea, and bless her heart for doing it. And it's okay now, even though there's some difficulties that we just learned to work around. And in learning to work remotely, we did that a decade before COVID ever was in. Right. And we tried also going into an office and working from the office during office hours, and I've never particularly been good at that. And I see a lot of things now where they're talking about remote work and how people are not working, or they work 2 full-time jobs when really they're not working either one. I think we've had one person that has been like that, but I have seen plenty of people in offices that figure out how to hide out. They take long bathroom breaks is where they're hiding out. They go in and they're sitting there and looking like they're busy, but they're not. If somebody's in an office with their door closed and their computer up, they can be doing any number of things. Yeah. And you're either into your job and you're focused, or you're not. And
I mean, it's almost like you have to manage people in an office space as you would in a remote position. It doesn't matter. But
I think what a lot of people are missing is the ability to be able to manage and measure their key performance indicators to determine whether or not they're working or not. And with our systems, we can see the results of the work, and we can tell whether they're working or whether they're not.
Right. I think back to like a couple and like your first year of marriage, you always have to extend grace to one another.
Absolutely.
Because it's just
a lot.
There's a lot of things.
I think there's 4 people that should be involved in marriage. It should be you. It should be your spouse. It should be God, and it should be Grace. Yeah. She needs to be there.
Yeah. Well, and I also will say, like, if you didn't live with your spouse prior to marriage, like, that's a whole other ballgame you're dealing with too, living with someone for the first time.
But I don't think you should live with someone prior to marriage.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a lot of the statistics show that if you've lived together with someone, you're much more likely to break up with them. Because what you're doing is marriage-ish. You're dipping a toe in, and you should and Dave Ramsey says this all the time, and more than Dave, I believe you should definitely never buy property with someone that you are not married to.
Right.
Somebody that you're dating, do not do it, because you are co-tenants. There is not community property. You are buying a piece of property with a roommate, and it universally will go badly for you.
Right.
It is not worth any possible upside that you can possibly get for it. Do not do it.
Right.
So, other than that, I love what Dave Ramsey says and his co-hosts, but maybe I'll go on his show at one point to offer the legal perspective of in doing that. But the principles and lessons are still the same. Mm-hmm. And if you're gonna get married, go all in with the marriage. If one of you has more property than the other, then you might want to do a prenup and at least talk about it. I like doing prenups for almost every couple, even if it is the standard and we wind up with, here's what the default laws of the state of Texas are. Mm-hmm. But you guys have both read them and understand them, and this is how you're going to handle your property. And you can always come back and read this about to measure each other for, are we following this or are we not?
Right.
And if we're not, are there things that we need to discuss about for example, something is making me feel uncomfortable or dangerous or concerned because, for example, we're putting all the debt in my name or we're putting all the assets in your name. And why are we doing that? The other thing is, and I'll preach this just like the Ramsey Show, don't go into debt. Don't go into debt, I think, for anything.
And learn to share.
Learn to share.
Did I teach you that in school? Like when you were in like preschool? Share.
Do you and Daniel share a toothbrush?
No.
You think that's weird?
Yes.
Oh, because Summer and I we share the same toothbrushes.
I mean, I might have accidentally used his before, but no. I mean,
yeah, we have several toothbrushes. Like,
I mean, I get the fact that you kiss and stuff. I
know. Some dentist is probably going to comment on the thing. You can swab.
I'm just thinking
gingivitis
of like
or disease.
Sick. What if one of you are sick and then you give it to the other?
So
I mean,
actually every day. So I have a mouth guard.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grind my teeth at night, and I didn't think it was as bad of a problem until my dentist kind of talked me into it. And if you see my mouth guard, I'm destroying it, and I probably have to replace it. So clearly, I grind my teeth at night, and I also I grind my teeth when I pet the dogs. It's called cuteness aggression. But every day I wake up and I use the toothbrush with some hand soap and brush it with soap, and then rinse off the toothbrush and the mouth guard. So my toothbrush is always fairly
clean.
Yeah. It's 2 for 1. I'm always like trying to multitask. And if you want a 2 for 1, keep watching these reviews of us where we give you Dave Ramsey's advice plus Lawyer Dana with Jennifer Hardy Har, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.